What's up, everybody? It is your girl, your diva in knowledge, Lady Mocha, representing Mocha's Cafe de Paris, where you know I'm always serving you wisdom, knowledge, truth, and spiritual awareness. Big ups to all of my subscribers, those of you who have been rocking with me from day one and still rocking with me to this day. Again, I'm so grateful and appreciative for all of you. Those of you who have just subscribed, I welcome you to Mocha's Cafe de Paris family. Trust me, you are in good hands here. And for those who haven't subscribed, if you like today's content and you like what you hear, please be sure to subscribe and make sure you hit that like button and share. So, on that note, I thought it was very imperative that I did this particular content today. This particular recipe that I have served for everyone is basically the reasons as to why you will never catch me, Mocha, joining any YouTube movements. Okay. And what I mean by YouTube movements, there's a lot of black content creators that are creating their own movements. You have some movements that are designed to be against black women, and you have some movements that are designed to be against black men. And you would never see me partaking as far as joining any of these movements. Now, this is not to say that I would never have conversations with them and that I would never check out some of their content from time to time. I'm willing to have conversations and talk with them and do panels, but you would never really catch me be a part of their movement, meaning that I would never moderate for them. I would never partake in every live panel that they do. And there's a lot of reasons for that. What I notice is that when it comes to movements very rarely grow, especially when a movement has been developed off of a negative or shady foundation. And to break it down a little bit more simple so everybody out there can understand where I'm coming from, there's a couple analogies that I'm going to use. Now, just to let y'all know, I've always been a fan of Spike Lee. Spike Lee is one of those directors that I really admire, besides John Singleton, rest in peace. Um, I've always been a fan of Spike Lee's work. I love a lot of his movies. School Days is one of my personal favorites. Mo Better Blues, Crooklyn, and Malcolm X. He's done a lot of movies. And ironically, the other night, I was in my room and I was watching Malcolm X. Now, I had watched this movie several times, and I'm embarrassed to even say that I'm so slow that you know how you can watch a movie 1,000 goddamn times and you really don't understand what it's all about till probably the 500th time that you watched it. It's like, wow, I see this movie all this time and I never paid attention to certain significant details. Okay, so I'm watching the Malcolm X movie, and I noticed the scene where one of the ladies that was part of the Nation of Islam sat down and had a conversation with Malcolm X. And basically, she told him how Elijah Muhammad, the man who he admired, basically what was talking reckless about him. Basically, what was throwing him up under the bus and calling, Malcolm X. I'll just use today's term. Calling him a fake NIGGA. Um, basically, just insulting him. And Malcolm X, of course, in that same movie, he was very shocked. He was bewildered. He couldn't believe that the man he admired, the man who movement he joined, and basically he Malcolm X started his movement based on Elijah Muhammad teaching, and that same teaching is what delivered him from being in the bondage of ignorance. Because when Malcolm X went to prison, you saw in the movie, he was out there among the world. He was, partaking with those devils, and he was really out there, and he he was lost in the sauce, and basically the teaching of Elijah Muhammad took the blindfold off of his eyes and made him see his purpose as a black man in the world, and it basically gave him life when Malcolm X was mentally on life support, and the teaching of Elijah Muhammad gave him life and brought him back to life, and he became a part of this movement because of his admiration for Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam. So, of course, he was very unpleased when he found out about this, and I was also shocked. As I'm watching the movie, I'm like, wow. I mean, this man, he admired this man. He started this movement and he joined this movement. And I find it ironic that when Malcolm X got out of prison, how close Elijah Muhammad and him was. I was on Google and I saw the pictures of how close they seemed like they were through all of these Nation of Islam meetings and conferences. You can tell Elijah Muhammad was like Malcolm X's right hand man, and he was down by law with him. And that is how a lot of movements start. Movements begin when everybody is down by law because they all share the same beliefs. Whether those beliefs are negative or positive, that's what initiates a movement, meaning that you share the same principles, you share the same values, you share the same theories. You all identify with each other based on the same concept of beliefs. That is how a movement begins. Of course, you can't have a movement unless everybody is on the same chord and you all believe in the same theory. Okay, you can't have a movement without that. It's no different than the civil rights movement. Martin Luther King couldn't have a civil rights movement unless there was other black men and black women who also felt that they were being segregated and treated unfairly. He also had white men and white women who also joined his civil rights movement, who also believed that blacks should be treated equally. So basically, when it comes to movements, everybody have to be on the same accord. So as I was watching this Malcolm X movie, and I noticed that as Malcolm X began to learn things from a different perspective, and he began to see within the movement all of the uckery that was going on in the Nation of Islam. Slowly but surely, the layers of deception begin to peel away at him like an onion, and he realized that the teachings that Elijah Muhammad had programmed him and the whole entire movement with, Malcolm X didn't want to be a part of that movement. And also, to add insult to injury, Malcolm X was becoming bigger than the movement. So, of course, this stirred a lot of jealousy, this stirred a lot of hate, because that is the bad thing about movements. And this is the reason why I'm doing this content. And the content that I'm doing today is called Why You Will Never See Mocha Join Any YouTube Movements. And this is a few of the factors as to why you would never catch me joining any of these BFF movements. You would never catch me joining any of these bitter black women movements. You're not going to catch me become a member of any of these movements. You're not even going to see me really rock with too many of these people on their panels unless they're talking about something that I feel is positive. But for the most part, you're not going to catch me really rocking too much with people who initiate these type of movements. And the reason for that is because I realized that even if you join any of these YouTube movements and you share in the same negative concepts and the same negative perceptions as your fellow brethren or those who are in the same movement as you share, the problem with that is that the moment you wake up and you take that blindfold off, just like Malcolm X did, and you start to see things in a different light, the movement will discard you. Because in order to stay a part of some of these YouTube movements, like Malcolm X, the only way he was going to stay a part of that Nation of Islam movement was he was going to have to stay blind to their principles, to their beliefs and their theories. And it's unfortunate that when you become a part of a movement, you cannot grow. You cannot grow. You cannot have a change of heart, because the moment you do, the movement will assassinate you, just like they did with Malcolm X. Now, of course, with YouTube, I mean, I will hope it never come to that point where somebody will literally get assassinated because they no longer want to partake in the movement. But what I notice in the YouTube streets is that they will assassinate your character. The moment you grow up and you wake up and smell the coffee and you say, you know what, initially I was for this type of movement, but now that I'm getting older, I'm getting wiser, the dynamics of my life have changed. I don't feel the same way I used to feel. And the moment you try to bring your new perceptions in life to a movement that was based on what it was based upon, and you try to change, you change, bring any type of new thoughts or new beliefs or new principles into the movement, they will assassinate you by getting rid of you and dismantling your character by saying you fake, you never was really for the man, you really was never for our movement, you wasn't for us as black men, you're not a real black man, or they'll say you're not a real black woman, you was never really for our movement, all because you are growing and now you see things in a different light. And this is why Mocha will always stand alone for the most part. Now, like I said, I have my panels and I will continue to rock with the same people I've been rocking with because they're mutual. But for the most part, when you begin to be a part of a movement, you are not allowed to grow. You have to stay stagnant in your train of thought if you want to remain a part of that movement. And that's what happened with Malcolm X. And that's just one reason for why you will never catch me joining anybody's movement. I don't care how many subscribers they got. I don't care if they got 8, 9 popular people in their panel who I know is top-notch content creators in the YouTube streets. You're not going to catch me being a part of their movement, because the moment, if I want to have the privilege of being able to change my mind, I want to have the privilege of being able to grow. I don't want to stay stuck in my same train of thinking, whether if it's 10 years from now, whether if it's 15 years from now, because the dynamics of your life can change. For instance, if I decide to join a bitter black woman movement where all they just talk negative about black men, and say if I wasn't a married woman, I've been married 19 years, but let's say if I wasn't a married woman, just giving y'all an example, and I decide to become a part of the bitter bashing black men movement, and I'm rocking with 5, 6, 7 other women who also have hatred towards black men. And we start this movement. We do all of these panels together. We got all of this, large subscriber base. We're doing the channels flourishing because we got other bitter black women who all have also subscribed to the bitter black women movement. So the movement is doing great. We're making a lot of donations. We're getting a lot of recognition. We're getting a lot of attention. But let's say my life somehow changes and I get married to a black man that's treating me good, taking care of me. He's a good father to our children. Guess what? I'm not going to feel the same way about the movement that I became a part of. And that's what a lot of black men and black women are not understanding in the YouTube sector. You can become a part of a movement, but if your life changes, you're not going to fit in with that movement. If you so much against black females, or you're against black men, and you get in a situation where your life changes, you're not your thoughts and your beliefs are not going to be the same. You're not going to be able to, I'm not going to be able to sit around a group of women talking negative about black men all day, and I know now I'm married to one. That's what a lot of people have to realize when you become a part of a movement. Are you willing to not allow the dynamics of your life to change just so you can continue to be a part of this movement? Because the moment your life changes, or you're a black man and you decide to marry a black woman, even though you might hate black women right now, you may can't stand black women right now, which is the reason why you probably support some of the movements that are against black women. But when, if later on down the line, and I know right now you don't feel that way, but you don't know how your mind or your thought process is going to change 10, 15 years from now. If you look back on your life 10, 15 years ago, the things you thought you would never do, you're doing. In places you thought you never would have gone, you've been. So the thing about it is, you're supporting a movement that's, against black women, but you may end up and find a black woman that you find is different from all the women you've ever talked reckless about. You see she's a good woman. You see she takes care of you. How are you going to be a part of a movement and talk trash about black women now that you found a good black woman that you want to marry? You never know how your life is going to change. And when your life changes, life brings you changes. It changes your perspective. It changes your mindset. So you can never say never. I don't care how angry or upset you are about something or a particular group of people right now. You don't know how your life is going to change. You don't know who you're going to fall in love with. You don't know who you're going to end up wanting to be with. You just never know. With that being said, that's the first reason why I would not join any of these movements, because I want to be able to change my mind and move on without being ridiculed and being slandered because of it. Now, the second reason I would not join any movement on YouTube is because, just like with Malcolm X, even though he was on the same accord, with everyone that believed in his movement, oops, sorry about that noise, dumpster outside. Even though everybody was on the same accord with his movement, and everybody believed in they had the same beliefs when it came to the Muslim culture. They had shared the same principles, they shared the same theories. What tends to happen in a lot of movements is sometimes one person is going to outshine everyone in that movement. It doesn't matter if everybody shares the same principles, values, beliefs, and theories. Sooner or later, one man or one woman is just going to shine and stand out. Some people have the natural gift of just standing out. Some people have that gift of drawing people to them. Like, for instance, you could be a woman in the club and there's two guys. Let's say there's three guys sitting at the table. And all of them are well dressed nice, all of them look good, but it's just that one brother that something about him just draws more women to him compared to his other two homeboys. And same thing, you could be with a group of females, and it's always that one female that's going to always get the most attention. It don't matter if her girlfriends look just as cute as her, look just as good as her, just as nice as her. We see it all the time, even with these musical groups. With the Supremes, Diana Ross, she just stood out. I mean, and Florence, and I forgot the other one, all of them could sing their asses off, but she stood out. I mean, we see with Destiny's Child, all them girls could blow and sing, all of them could dance, but guess what? Beyonce stood out. Whenever Teddy Pendergrass, when he was with LTD, same thing. He stood out. I don't care if it doesn't matter how big or small a movement is. Someone is going to stand out. And usually what happens is, this is where the jealousy and the hate, this is where they begin to spread like cancer in the movement. Because again, if everybody has the same principle and beliefs, of course everybody is going to want everyone to be received the same way, being that everyone is sharing the same beliefs and values and principles when it comes to the movement. But what tends to happen is somebody will outshine, and it's not, and sometimes it's not always a person fault that they outshine. Some people just have the personality. Some people just got the charisma. Just some people have the gift of drawing people to them. And if you're in a movement with people who don't understand that, which is definitely going to be the majority of the time, because you have people with this attitude where we all on the same accord, we all supposed to receive on the same accord. Well, that's not always true. Somebody's going to stand out. Golden State Warriors, Steph Curry is the one standing out. Even though there's other guys that's balling just as great as he is, they're getting just as many points as he is. But right now, he's the MVP. He's the one that's standing out. And instead of the whole team being glad that at least they all are winning, it's always going to be those one or two suckers in the bunch that's going to spread cancer to the movement, all because they're jealous because they're not getting the same attention that one particular man or woman is getting within the movement. And this is the reason why I would not join the movement, because I see all of these YouTube movements, and the problem is, even when you have a lot of black men and a lot of black women in the YouTube black sector, and all of them are everybody seems to be all for each other. Everybody seems to be all for the movement. But the problem is, sooner or later, somebody's going to feel some type of way if somebody in that movement begins to stand out or get the most attention. I've seen it all the time. This is the reason why you see some of these dudes in the black YouTube sector with their movement, they're falling out. You see in them 1 minute, it's 8-9 dudes on the panel. Everybody's doing cool. They all exchanging information and conversation back and forth about how black women ain't this and black women ain't that. But if that one brother miss some branches off of that movement, and he does a panel with another black woman that all of the men in that movement can't stand, they're going to assassinate him. They're going to get rid of him because, again, he's not allowed to grow, and he's not allowed to intervene in anything they feel like is going to bring cancer to their movement. Same thing if you have a black female YouTube channel, and they all always talk about black men, and they're always going against black men, and she decides that she wants to do a couple of panels with some of the guys that are against the women who represent the panel that she's represent the movement she's always been a part of. Those women are going to assassinate her. They're going to get rid of her because, again, she's not allowed to grow. She's not supposed to branch off and look into different things or adopt different views or anything. She's supposed to stay in the same mindset. So basically, not only that, to my point that I was saying about, when it comes to movement, somebody's going to always stand out. What happens with these content creators, like these black male content creators, it's always that one dude that's going to stand out. He may get the most attention because he looks good. Women find him the most appealing because he looks good. Or you have some women, they are drawn to men that are loud, rude, and obnoxious because in their mind it's a turn on. Some women are attracted to stuff like that. I'm not. But some women find it appealing when a man could be boisterous, loud, and they will try to get close to that same type of dude because they feel like he's an attention drawer. And she wants to have the benefit of also getting that same amount of attention. So what happens is some of these women will become a part of these black male content creators. They want to get close to the loud dude, to the obnoxious dude, the dude with the loudest voice, because he's an attention magnet. And if she wants attention just as much as he has it, she's going to try to get close to him. So while some of these guys think some of these black women are coming on their panel because they really down for them like that, what it is, she sees that he's an attention magnet, and she also wants to get the same attention that he's getting. Okay, so she would get on his panel and agree with his views and agree with his theories, even though she's a black woman and he's insulting other black women. She will agree with what he says just to get close to him so she can become a part of his movement to gain attention. So this is another thing that some of these black men have to be cautious of. Just because you have a black woman that's coming in your movement and she's agreeing and co-signing with all the fuckery, that you're constantly discussing against black women, she's on your team just so she can get the attention and admiration. It has nothing to do with trying to help you to make your point more valid just because she's co-signing with you. Okay, and the same thing, I'm starting to notice there's some black men, they are partaking and dealing with women in the YouTube sector that have a bad reputation of being messy. It's a lot of guys, a lot of black males in the YouTube content creator, in the YouTube content sector that is partaking with women who have reputation of being messy, drama filled. They will bring these women on their panel, or they are going on these women panel knowing these women have had negative reputation on the YouTube streets for years. And they see that their own fellow brethrens, their own other black brothers ain't even rocking with these women. And yet they will be the one to step outside and go do panels with these type of females that are messy. They'll do a content with them, or they'll bring a female on to their panel. And they do that because I'm starting to notice is that some of these men, they just want to get laid. They want to get laid, or either they want to get the attention that she's getting, because believe it or not, you have some men that are very thirsty for attention as women. Okay, you got some men that are that have some emotional characteristics, and they want they have these feminine characteristics to where they want attention. Because I think anytime a dude wants attention, that's an emotional feminine characteristic. That's just my opinion. Okay. So sometimes you have men in the YouTube sector that will intentionally get close to these messy female content creators because they know she has a lot of subscribers, or they know she has other dudes that are rocking with her. They will get close to her just so they can get attention as well. But what usually happens, it either backfires. Either they lose a lot of male subscribers by getting close to the wrong female content creator, especially if she's a messy one, or either she will scandalize him and ruin his brand and his channel. So all of this butt kissing and going on her panel and bringing her on his panel, he ends up actually losing doing that. So again, it's too this happens too often with these YouTube movements. Somebody wants to stand out, and some people just naturally stand out. And what happens is other people in the movement, they can't handle it. They can't handle that this dude is getting all the attention and all the ladies are talking to him in the chat room. All the ladies are talking to him on the panel. His ego feels bruised. So what ends up happening is in the black male YouTube sector, it's always that one dude that will get emotional because he's not getting attention that his fellow brethren is getting. So this is where the hate comes in at. So he starts doing malicious stuff. He'll get on the panel and try to out talk the guy that's getting the most attention, or he'll branch off and talk to other black women that he knows the brethren in his movement don't like. He'll do all kind of malicious stuff because his ego is bruised. And this happens a lot in the YouTube streets. That's why I don't want to be a part of anybody's YouTube movement, because egos get in the way. Same thing that happened with Malcolm X. Eagles got in the way. They forgot about the cause of the movement. They forgot that it was supposed to be about the Nation of Islam. They forgot all about that, and they put all their attention on Malcolm X being too powerful, getting too big, not understanding that him getting big and powerful was going to make the movement grow. So what if he was standing out? So what if he was getting all the attention and everybody was listening to Malcolm X's speeches and everybody was favoring his knowledge more than they were favoring the other Muslims in that movement or whatever? It shouldn't have mattered. But what happens is, because I don't know what it is about black folks, we are cursed with jealousy and hatred. We could all, the whole movement can be growing, but all it takes is one person to get mad, get jealous, or y'all have a disagreement and y'all fall out. That person brings cancer to the movement. And this is why y'all seen in these YouTube streets, this movement. One minute these guys are friends, next minute they falling out. In my opinion, once you and the dude have bump heads, y'all need to go y'all separate ways. I'm starting to see guys are taking guys back on their panel and bringing them back in their movement. And my thing is, if a person done showed you their left hand, why sit around and wait for them to show you their right hand? I think that's the most dumbest thing. I think that is dangerous. Once a person has shown you how they would talk about you and disrespect you, apology or no apology, accept the apology and move on. Y'all, some of these men are acting like women in the YouTube streets. They breaking up and getting back together. Makes no sense to me. But that's how they operate again, because you have some dudes out here that act so masculine with their mouth, but then they do feminine stuff. Okay, breaking up and getting back together makes no sense to me. Now you also have these women on the other hand with their movement. They'll fall out, and I notice with women, they don't squash things as easily as men. So they don't have a kiss and make up relationship like a lot of these dudes are doing in the YouTube sector. Once women fall out, they fall out. And the problem with these women with their movement is they want to air each other's dirty laundry, which I think that's very immature. I think that's very childish. If you and another woman, y'all started off a movement together, and just because y'all fell out and disagreed, you don't sit up there and air that chick. You don't sit up there and air another woman's dirty laundry. I consider you less than a woman if you can't gracefully move on and go on about your business just because things didn't work out, just because y'all had a few disagreements. Why y'all late woman's dirty laundry when y'all shared that in y'all friendship? Y'all shared that with each other when y'all was a part of each other's movement. That's just straight being a coward. That means you've been a hater all along, and you were just waiting for the opportunity to present itself to where you can air all this chick's dirty laundry. Because there's some females I done fell out with, not on YouTube, because again, I'm not a part of anybody's movement, but we fell out. I went my separate way. I was in a friendship where she could not handle. I didn't want to rock with her no more. I didn't want to support her no more. My thing is, I don't mind you eating that. I don't mind you eating. I just don't want to sit at the same table with you while you eating. You get what I'm saying? You eat, you do you. I don't want you starving, boo. I just don't want to eat with you no more. You get what I'm saying? And she couldn't handle that. She wanted to air my dirty laundry, air stuff I went through and all this and that. She broke the sister code, but I'm like, okay, it is what it is or whatever. So again, that's the second reason why I don't want to join the movement. I would never join a YouTube movement, because when somebody gets big, somebody's jealousy brings cancer to the movement and they can't handle it. Also, like I said, with Malcolm X, as he got big, he outshined a lot of the brothers with the Nation of Islam, and they could not handle it. Same thing with New Jack City. Y'all remember the movie with Nino Brown and G Money, the Cash Money brothers. As the movement got big with the drugs, with them, selling drugs and making money. As the movement got really big, egos got in the way. I mean, they was doing good with the Carter. I mean, they, police really couldn't put their hands on them because they was doing really good. They was becoming successful. The money was flowing. The crew, everybody was eating lovely. Everything was going smooth. But sooner or later, egos got in the way. And the whole Carter operation ended up shutting down, all because Nino couldn't respect the fact that even though G Money's girl was a Jezebel, that did not give him the right to sleep with her, especially when he was already in a relationship. You know what I mean? He broke the brother code. He broke the he broke the am I my brother's keeper code when he slept with G Money's girl. All the females he could have slept with. The money he was making at the time, he could have got any Jezebel he wanted. Why he had to mess with his right-hand man girl, especially the same female who disrespected his lady by saying that she was barren and couldn't have any children. That just goes to show you people could get grimy in these movements, that y'all all supposed to be supporting. G Money couldn't handle the pressure of having to do everything because Nino Brown just wanted to get laid and get paid. He put all the weight on G Money, and it was becoming so much for him, especially when the movement got infiltrated. So he ended up resorting to drugs, and you remember how that went. He wasn't keeping up with what was going on, and that's how he easily got infiltrated, which brings me to my third point of why you will never catch Mocha joining any of these YouTube movements. We have what's called intruders. But a lot of people in these YouTube sector, in these black YouTube sector streets are not understanding. Sometimes when you start building the movement, you feel like there's strength in numbers. So what I'm starting to notice from a distance, because like I said, I'm not a part of any of these movements, I'm just observing. And what I notice is that the bigger these movements become, there are more and more black male content creators and female content creators. They are letting so many people in on their movement. They're not doing the application process. They're not asking any questions. As long as anybody can get on their panel and cuss and hoop and holler just like them, they feel like, okay, you're qualified to be a part of the movement because you hate what I hate, you against what I'm against. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to bring you on board with me. And next thing you notice, they've fallen out with either them or somebody else in the movement. Because what a lot of these YouTube content creators are not understanding, and the same thing is happening with these female content creators, they think because another female hates black men just like them, wants nothing to do with black men just like them, they will bring these sisters on board and not realize that a lot of these intruders, what they do is they have to make it seem like they are against what you are against. They hate what you hate. They share the same beliefs and principles that you share, just so they become a part of your movement. And because y'all are so thirsty to get a whole entourage built on the same principles and beliefs, and you could keep expanding your movement because you're just letting any and everybody come from all walks of life without doing your investigation and making sure their intentions are genuine, you end up bringing a narc into your movement. And I see a lot of that going on in these YouTube streets. There are a lot of narcs in the movement. You have these people coming to your movement, coming to your channel, coming on your panel, coming to your chat room, and they're basically finessing a lot of these content creators by making it seem like, oh, I support your movement because they're moderators for you, or they're donating to you, and you don't realize they're doing all of that as a setup because they want to get to you so they can try to destroy your movement, destroy your channel. And if you're blind and you're gullible and you're thirsty for donations and you're thirsty for attention and you got to have 8-9 people on the panel with you, what tends to happen is you will overlook a lot of significant details. You will overlook who's really for you and who's really not. And it's the same ones that's on your praise team and cheerleading team that's praising you and cheering for you. They're the ones who are undercoverly going behind your back and flagging your channel because, again, they're jealous that even though you allowed them into your movement and you brought them on your panel, they're not as big as you are. So they have to play friendly and be cool with you and everybody on the panel and everybody on your channel just so they can get close to you. And once they get close to you and find out all your secrets and your weaknesses, they are going to destroy you. So we have a lot of narcs. I'm noticing there's all kind of men, like I mentioned earlier. They letting all type of women come in on their panel, come in their channel. And it amazes me because some of these brothers don't realize these women are very malicious. And women are very unforgiving. These women, they not feeling you talking about other black women. And you think because they laughing and kikiing and smiling with you, inside, they're feeling some type of way about it. Make no mistake. They feeling some type of way about it. But right now, they got to be cool with you because they want to get some of your light that's shining on you. And on top of that, in some cases, they want to get close to you because they want to burn you. You don't know if she's been sent as a narc, just like when dude was sent in New Jack City when they sent Ice-T, the undercover cop. They sent him as a narc between G Money, you know what I mean, and Nino Brown. And when he got up in there, he intentionally caused division against Nino Brown and G Money. He made sure neither one trusted the other. You know what I mean? And because Nino Brown and G Money, because both of them was dirty already, it didn't take much for dude, this undercover cop, I forgot what his name was. Was it Smith? Hell, I can't remember his name. But when Ice-T got up in there, he was able to infiltrate easily because both of them was dirty. And what's going on in these YouTube movement, these YouTube black sectors, that's why I don't want to join in the movements, is people that are sneaking in, whether if it's another sister, a black woman offers another brother, a black man. These individuals are sneaking and creeping up into these movements, and some of these content creators are so dumb and gullible and thirsty for subscribers and thirsty for people in the entourage to help support their movement. They don't investigate nothing. Okay, well, you're welcome to come over here because you can cuss, holler, scream like me. You don't like black women like me, I welcome you. And same thing with these women. Oh, okay, because she's talking trash about black men, she can't stand black men, or her content is against black men. Boo, that's part of the setup. Of course, if I want to get close to you, I'm going to act like I like what you like. I'm going to act like I'm for what you for. That's how people gain your trust. See, these YouTube streets ain't even ready for women like me because I see through a lot of bull. I see through it real clearly, which is why I would never be able to be a part of other people's movement, because I will be able to read. I don't care if it's 30 people in that movement. I will be able to read all 30. I'll know what all of their intentions are. And I've been noticing and observing from where I'm sitting. I'm looking at all of these different panels and all of these different entourages, and I see there's more bad intentions than there are good. And it's crazy because when you are in the movement, or when you start the movement, you're leading the movement, you can't see things as clearly as those from the background. It's like when you up close on a computer screen. If you're close to a computer screen to where your nose is touching it, you cannot really see anything. But as you sit all the way back from the computer screen and you see the whole screen, you can see everything clearly. You can see the whole screen. And what's going on is a lot of these content creators, they are so blinded in their own movement. They think everybody who's on that panel has their best interest. They think everybody who's moderating for them has their best interest. They think everybody that's donating to them has their best interest. And it's not about that. And sooner or later, these same movements are going to dismantle. They are dismantling one by one by one because egos get in the way, hate starts to get in the way, and it spreads like cancer in the movement. So this is the reason why, again, you will not catch me partaking into any YouTube movements, because I see the destruction that is getting ready to take place amongst black men and black women content creators in the YouTube sector. And again, a lot of them are so gullible, they don't see that. You know what I mean? And I'm seeing that some of these guys and some of these women, what I noticing too is they're being smart to where they're doing their panels alone. They never bring anybody to do any content with them, but they will always go to somebody else's content because these content creators are smart enough to know, yeah, I don't mind taking his brand. I don't mind going over to his panel where I could talk on his panel and his channel, because they're smart enough to know the same people who movement they go to support, they're not going to bring them to where they are because they don't want their movement tainted. And it just amazes me that some of these black men and black women, y'all can't see how is it these people, they don't mind coming to your panel all the time, but you can't go to their panel not one time. You can't do not one or two Google Hangouts with them. You know why? It's because they are smart enough to see that the way you are operating your movement, you're already tainting your brand. So they're smart enough to not even bring you on to where they are. But then they're going to keep going to your panel because, again, they want to get some of the attention from your subscribers. You know, that way those same subscribers could subscribe to their panel. It's all a game. The YouTube streets is dirty. Nobody's not looking out for nobody. There's no genuineness. There's none of that in the YouTube streets when it comes to these movements. Now, again, as I was watching this Malcolm X movie, like I said, I was shocked when I found out Elijah Muhammad was the one who set Malcolm X up to get killed. Now, keep in mind, now, even though Elijah Muhammad was teaching all of this about black men and black women sticking together and not accepting other cultures and other Muslims and of other races into the movement, come to find out, this dude was impregnating all type of teenagers who was his personal secretaries in the movement. I'm telling y'all, when I did my research, it's amazing if when you do your research with Black history, how much information you will find. It will open your eyes to stuff. And come to find out, Malcolm X was following a false prophet, a false leader who was not living any of what he was teaching. And that's another reason why I would not support any of these movements. I would not rock with some of these guys. I don't care how big their panels are. And I would not rock with some of these women, because a lot of them who promote this uckery, they're the main ones who is doing everything they're telling everybody in the movement and their subscribers not to do. People are living a totally different lifestyle outside of what they're promoting. So I could only imagine how Malcolm X felt when he admired this man and became a part of his movement, to find out this dude was doing all kind of shady stuff, you know what I mean? And once Malcolm X found out, he didn't want to be a part of it. And that's the thing. That's why y'all have to be careful joining these YouTube movements, because once you see things are out of order and things are out of pocket and you no longer want to be a part of that movement, they're going to assassinate your character. They're going to make you look bad. Because the strength of numbers, if there's 20 of them and they still supporting the uckery movement, and because you see shady stuff going on and you walk away from the movement, guess what? All 20 of them is going to side with with that person and not side with you. They're going to make you look crazy. He wasn't no real brother. He didn't belong over here with us anyway. You know, he wasn't real. He was broke. He was poor. He ain't had no money. All because you started seeing that the things they were doing was unethical, or you started seeing a lot of lies, you started seeing a lot of fraudulent things, so you left the movement. But they're going to make you look bad when you leave the movement. Same thing with these sisters. If you rock with these sisters and you see they screwing better males and doing things outside of what they promoting, and you want to walk away from it, they're going to all get together and say, see, she wasn't no real sister, she wasn't for us. It's a lot of uckery that goes on in these YouTube movements. That's why you will not see me become a part of them. I will stand alone before I join in on any movement. And the moment I change my mind, or the moment I see shady stuff going on and I don't want to be a part of it, y'all all going to get together and do a panel and have a bash fest about me. Not happening, Captain. So, anyway, there was a lot that had transpired. Once Malcolm X realized, his reason for not, wanting to no longer be part of the Nation of Islam, it created jealousy and rivalry within the organization. It basically spread like cancer, and it continued to keep going. Elijah Muhammad tore into Malcolm in his public speeches, and he was saying, who was he leading? Who was he teaching? He has no truth. We didn't want him to kill Malcolm. His foolish teaching would bring him to his own end. We didn't want to kill Malcolm. This implies that they may not have wanted to, but they needed to and had to kill him. And that's how it goes in a movement. You have to kill, you have to eliminate your competition. It's sad, but even when it comes to your movement, you got to get rid of it. You got to eliminate it. You don't, the thing is, the movement, even though everybody's supposed to be on the same accord, the problem is people start hating when one man or one woman gets above the movement. I've been in a situation on my job where me and a girlfriend of mine was real cool and we was real tight. And, we had our own movement. A movement don't have to be big now. A movement could just be 2 or 3 of you. And we fell out, we had a disagreement. I'm not going to go on in details or whatever, but she got upset because, again, I adopted my own mind. I saw what she was doing. I no longer wanted to be a part of the friendship. So I left the friendship and I ended it. And she got upset. And because of that, she could not handle me walking away. She tried to assassinate my character by making me lose my job. So that's what she did. When she saw she was not winning with me, and then not only that, she got threatened by me. She got threatened because I was doing really well on the job, and that I was getting a lot of things working out in my favor. I was getting them to do things for me that she couldn't get done for her or whatever. So all that time she sat there acting like she was okay with it, but when it boiled down to it and we went our separate ways, and things didn't work out, she let me know how angry she was with me the whole time, and basically she was just tolerating me. And that's basically what's going on in these YouTube streets. A lot of y'all don't have no friends. Y'all think because you got 8, 9 people on your panel, they rocking with you. They're not rocking with you like that. They're tolerating you because you have something they want, whether if it's attention or recognition. And the moment y'all fall out, they're going to make it be known there are real reasons of why they joined your movement, and it had nothing to do with you. So again, that is my reason why you will never catch me joining any of these YouTube movements. I see the destruction, I see it dismantling. I feel like once a person has disrespected you and talked very ill of you, you should not allow them back onto your panel. You should not do any more live streams with them. You should not record with them, because what you're doing is you're giving the enemy a second chance to destroy you. I think it's really dumb, and I'm almost surprised and appalled at some of these men that are rejoining back with these same dudes who was talking trash about them. I see women do it all the time, but when I see men do it, I'm like, my husband is like this. You make him mad or you do something really disrespectful to him, he's done. There's nothing you can say or do or whatever. And I'm just not used to men making up and breaking up and having kiss and hug relationships. But I guess we're in a different era. Now, before I get ready to end this, I found some other interesting facts about this Malcolm X movement, this Nation of Islam movement. Now, what I did not know until I did my research on this Malcolm X, the history of him, I did not know his wife, Betty Shabazz, she had took in her grandson, Malcolm X. She took in her grandson, Malcolm X, in 1997. After her daughter, I think her name Quabila, had been arrested for conspiracy to murder Louis Farrakhan, because Louis Farrakhan and Elijah Muhammad was down by law, and I guess his daughter wanted to retaliate, so she ended up going to jail. So prison. So what happened was this left Betty Shabazz in a position where she had to get her 10-year-old grandson, and come to find out, I did not know that in 1997 he set her apartment on fire, and she suffered severe burns and died 3 weeks later as a result of her injuries. So I did not know his wife died at the hands of her grandson. Now, I don't know if it was accidental, or I don't know how that went. When I was talking to my husband about it, and my husband, he felt like it was a setup. He feels like they wanted to intentionally make it look like the grandson did it, or if he did it, they wanted it like he intentionally did it versus accidentally, because they wanted to kill his chances of ever taking the place of Malcolm X, meaning that if it looked like he intentionally killed his grandmother, people like, oh no, we ain't no way, we'll never allow you to get to that level. We'll never allow you to take the place of, you can't become the next Malcolm X as big as your grandfather, because you killed his wife, you killed your own grandmother. So we're not going to allow you to fill in those same shoes. And my husband basically said he felt like that was a setup so they could stop him from filling in the legacy that his grandfather had left. And I was talking to my husband, I'm like, you may have a point there. He said, think about it, he's 10 years old. He was in no position to defend himself, to say if he did or didn't do it. Who's to say they didn't get somebody close to him? The government didn't set him up and get somebody close to him, another man or somebody his age range or another peer, to get close to him so they could keep up with him and his grandmother's whereabouts, and they probably helped to orchestrate that to set him up to make it look like he killed his grandmother, or maybe it happened accidentally, but to make it like he did it intentionally. They wanted to kill him before that seed of that legacy of Malcolm X could reproduce itself. They want to stop it altogether before it reproduced itself. They didn't want another Malcolm X. They didn't want him filling in his grandfather's shoes. As powerful as Malcolm X was, the last thing they needed was for the next generation to come along and rebuild that legacy and rebuild that power. So I'm like, wow, after listening to my husband, I'm like, oh, okay, you may have a point there. Now, this is an interesting part, y'all. This is why it's important for us to know our Black history. I did not know this. How about Malcolm X's son? I'm sorry, not son, his grandson, the one who I just said supposedly was the cause of his grandmother, Malcolm X's wife, dying in a fire. How about he got killed in 2013? He was the first male descendant of Malcolm X. In 1997, he was 12 years old. Shabazz set fire to the apartment of his grandmother, Betty Shabazz, causing her death. Shabazz was murdered in Mexico City. Now, just to let everybody know what Shabazz is. Shabazz, that is still Malcolm X. What happened was when Malcolm X left the Nation of Islam, he changed his name to Shabazz. So his grandchildren and his children kept the name of Shabazz, okay? So his grandson, Malcolm Shabazz, was murdered in Mexico City on May 9, 2013 at the age of 28. He was said to be on tour to demand more rights for Mexican construction workers relocated to the USA. Found that interesting. He died at 28 years old. It's just crazy how Malcolm X's, family went through so much even after, he had tragically suffered. And it became like a generational curse. I hate to say that, but I find it ironic with all this knowledge that I've come to discover that his family had went through so much. He started a fire in his grandmother's apartment. She suffered burns over 80% of her body. The police found Malcolm wandering the streets barefoot and reeking of gasoline. Betty Shabazz died of her injuries on June 23rd, 1997. At a hearing, experts described Malcolm as psychotic and schizophrenic. Now, this was the experts said, like I stated, who's to say this wasn't a setup, and they wanted this young man to already feel like he was crazy. And the media wanted to put it out there and make sure that everybody knew he was crazy because he was the first grandson of Malcolm X. So he would have been most likely the perfect candidate to take the place of his grandfather and rebuild that legacy. So they already killed that seed. They stunted it before he could even grow. I'm starting to believe a lot of what my husband was telling me about that. So he was described as brilliant but disturbed, and I believe they was more fearful of his brilliance than him being disturbed. He pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 18 months in juvenile detention for manslaughter and arson and possible annual extensions until his 18th birthday. Shabazz was released after 4 years. In 2003, Shabazz turned 18, gave his version of the fire and events leading up to it. He explained that he had been unhappy in New York and his grandmother and had stated being bad, doing anything to get them to send me back to my mother. Then I got the idea to set the fire. Expressing remorse for the event, he said, I set a fire in the hallway and I didn't think the whole thing through thoroughly, but she didn't have to run through the fire. There was another way out of the house from her room. I guess what she thought was I was stuck and she had to run and get me because it was in front of my room as well. She ran through the fire. I did not picture that happening, that she would do that. I just wanted her to know I was sorry and I wanted to know she accepted my apology, that I didn't mean it, but I didn't get no response and I really wanted that response. Very, very, very tragic thing, y'all. So I don't know, because Black folks, we quick to blame everything on the government. So I really don't know. It could be either or, but all I know is the situation is very, very, very sad. His mother is still living. He was about, he had two daughters. Okay, so he did have children before he passed, and he was buried next to his grandfather and his grandmother. So it's very, 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 very sad how a big movement, it just caused so many lives to be taken along the way. Very, very sad situation. But anyway, y'all, I'm going to get ready to shut it down. I just thought it was imperative that I share this movement, this message with you. And again, for anybody who plans on supporting any movements on YouTube, again, make sure it is a movement that you can stick with. As I stated before, once you grow and your life brings about changes, you may not be able to fit in with the movement, so that's something you have to consider. Secondly, sometimes people in the movement stand out better than others. As long as you can accept that and not get jealous and bring cancer to a movement, then you may stand a chance. And third, watch out for the narcs, watch out for the intruders. Again, as content creators, don't be so thirsty. Everybody who wants to be a part of your movement, you're taking them in under your wing because you could be taken in a narc. So anyway, y'all, definitely, I really want to hear y'all opinion on these movements on YouTube. Again, please, let's be respectful. Don't leave no names. I don't want to hear nothing about what a person is doing on their panel. Just say he, she, or them. That's all. I want us to respectfully leave our opinions. I don't want to call nobody out or whatever. So, what do y'all think about these movements on these YouTube streets? Do you think they're a good thing? Do you think they're a bad thing? I really like your opinion on it. Again, for those of you who are interested in cable, I am selling cable, 7,000 channels, $25 a month. If you just want to donate to my small movement, Mocha's Cafe de Paris, you're welcome to send me PayPal, or you can cash at me at Diamond Girl as well. I don't care the fee, too big, too small. Just $1 a month or $5, $10, anything, however you choose to bless me. I will greatly, greatly be appreciative of that. Again, it's your girl, Lady Mocha. Remember, I'm going to always pour you a cup of truth and break you off a slice of knowledge. Y'all have a blessed day. Take care.